talk about a guy who it's been a great story. How about Baker Mayfield? How about Baker Mayfield's revenge? I don't want to say it's a revenge tour, but perseverance extravaganza, because everyone was ready to write him off. He was the problem. First, he was the savior in Cleveland. Then he was the problem in Cleveland. Then he was left to die in Carolina, kept believing himself, didn't take that contract to be the Ravens' backup quarterback. Instead, went to Tampa Bay, and all of a sudden, he's in the playoffs in the divisional round, 1 win away from an NFC championship berth. But, Brad, we have a video here of Dan Campbell just talking about how great of a teammate in person Baker Mayfield has been. So we want you guys to listen to this real quickly.
Look, I've always been a Baker fan from afar. I loved him when he was coming out. I tell this story. This, to me, said a lot about him. And I went and worked Blake Andrews out when he was coming out of OU. They came out the same year, tight end. And
You met Mark.
So I went out there. Well, his quarterback, it's cold, but he comes out there. I think he's got like flip-flops on. It's Baker. Baker's going to throw for him. Well, Baker threw for every one of his guys that was coming out that year. And I think he'd already had 2 private workouts the 2 days prior, and he had one that afternoon, and I think the one the next day. So that just says a lot about the guy. There's no wonder why people rally around him and follow him, because he's that type of teammate, right? I mean, there's a lot of guys who wouldn't do that. I got to save my arm. I've got so-and-so club coming in. That wasn't him. So, you can respect stuff like that now.
Yeah, it's this is what's great to see. I think Baker's reputation took such a big hit because he played for Cleveland. I think a lot of people in Baltimore then didn't like him because he was the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. The point is, Baker Mayfield, it's just awesome to see when you continue to put your head down and continue to be the person that you are.
Yeah.
Think good things can happen. And for Baker Mayfield, saved his career. He stayed true to who he is, but other people around. I mean, Dan Campbell, first off, grit. We need to get Ryan Ripken show grit hats. I think that'd
be good. That'd be good.
But yeah, the point being is Dan Campbell, that's high respect for a quarterback. Yeah. And Baker deserves that.
Coming from the coach that wants to bite people's kneecaps off. Yeah, that is very high praise. And Baker Mayfield, big smelling salts guy as well. He did him before the Eagles game. I think I saw a video in the tunnel. So
I'm sure
I like Baker Mayfield. Big fan. What's that?
I'm sure he did throughout the Eagles game as well.
Oh yeah, he might have. But
no,
this is a guy that wasn't even used properly towards the end of his tenure or throughout his tenure in Carolina. Like, he was lining up on the scout team as a defensive lineman towards the end of his tenure, doing whatever he could and whatever it would take to, help the team not win games, because you know how that went, but, doing his best, being a team guy. Then he gets to Tampa, and seeing him in Tampa and just the grit, and, he always carries that swagger. He's done it since college. And love Baker Mayfield or hate Baker Mayfield, it's a pretty cool story right now, what he's doing. I mean, I know the Eagles have dealt with their injuries, and they were completely just on a downward spiral at that point in time. But to go out and beat a team that was one of the favorites to get to and potentially win the Super Bowl before the season even began, I mean, that's an accomplishment. And the Eagles were favored in that game. So Baker Mayfield, he doesn't care. He's always going to play with that chip on his shoulder, that swagger. And I love to see it. But, we'll see what happens this week.